Hey there, fella, it's super duper time. Pour a drink, spill the tea, lose your mind. The spots, there he goes, the overtime. And that client from fucking hell still wants one more line. With Tyler, Aisha, and Nicole, it's the Super Duper Show.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Super Duper Show, where we break the NDAs and tell the wildest stories from the big game, told by the freelancers who made the spots themselves. I'm your host, Tyler Pierce, Executive Creative Director at Murder Hornet, and I'm very excited to be here today. Every year we all tune in for the Super Bowl. There's hype and there's spectacle everywhere. And let's be honest, we see a bazillion car commercials. But what's behind those ads? That's really what we're going to talk about today. You know, there's crazy stories from different people, late nights, producers that lose all of their hair, and lawyers and BA people who despise all of the creatives. There's a ton of wild stories, and that's what we're unpacking here with the Super Duper Show. And I'm really excited to get going with you guys. So before we kind of get into who we're talking to today and what we're talking about, I wanted to give a shout out first to the Murder Hornet team, Jordan and Michelle. Thanks for helping coordinate all this. And especially thank Doug Zanger and Indie Agency News for helping us put this on, shining a spotlight on indie agencies, and obviously freelance talent that's out there that's so vital to our creative community. So really excited about that. And for everybody out there, please join Indie Agency News. Support your independent shops. And please definitely join Murder Hornet's Swarm so we can get you in our freelance roster. Let's talk about some work. Before we get into it and we get the show on the road, I want to introduce my co-host today, a dear friend of mine, Nicole James. Nicole, you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, very happy to be here. I am a creative director. I've been in the game about 15 years, worked on a lot of different things, and I like to think I specialize in making ads that don't feel like ads and work environments that don't feel like work for the creatives inside of them.
Nice. So Nicole, we go back a little ways, right? Razorfish, Vice Media Group. We've been on the freelance circuit together for many moons. Yeah, so I'm glad you're shamelessly plugging yourself because I want to make sure you get some work out of this. All right. I'm excited about the spot we're talking about today because it's a very different approach, I think, to some of the other ones we're doing in the Super Duper Show. And this really kind of focuses on the backstory of what it's like to be a junior creative and maybe even an intern and actually having your spot made and produced for the Super Bowl. So for this episode, we're going back to 2014 to a Hyundai commercial for the Elantra, and it's all about a big bang. And we have an amazing now creative director who was an intern at the time who worked on this spot, cutting her teeth at INNOCEAN. And I'm excited to welcome Aisha to the Super Duper Show. Aisha, how you doing?
Hello, I'm good. I'm excited to be here. Should I talk about who I am briefly?
Yeah, talk about yourself.
Okay.
That's who you are.
My name is Aisha Hakim. I am an art director. I have been doing this for about 13 years, freelancing for about a year and a half now. I've worked at 72 and Sunny, Preacher, Venables Bell, INNOCEAN, and have worked many, many years on not only Hyundai, but Audi for a while at Venables. So I'm all about the car game, baby.
Nice. And if I'm correct, we'll give a shout out to Denver Ad School. You're teaching there right now. How's that going?
It's going well. I was surprised to learn that explaining what a good idea is out loud is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. So it's been actually a very enlightening and good experience, especially as a creative director, when our whole job is to explain to people what a good idea is and how to think of one.
Well, the funny part about that is I saw your LinkedIn post about that, and I kind of laughed because off and on for the last 4 years, I've been teaching at Miami Ad School, and it's definitely been the most rewarding experience of my life. And I have to kind of like always walk back, especially to people who are just starting their kind of creative career, right? And just let them know that a great idea is a great idea, but creativity is very subjective, you know, and what Nicole thinks versus what you think, it's all very different in how we respond to it. So always kind of find that interesting. So
yeah, it's been good. It's been good on both sides. We're both learning.
Hey, so before we watch the 2014 masterpiece that you made with Johnny G and so many other characters, when I was kind of studying this work, there's so many layers to it. There's like an ELO song in this commercial. There's Jeff Bridges on the end tag of this commercial. I didn't even realize there was a whole other Hyundai commercial that was shot that year that went out that year. And I just loved how y'all leaned into humor, you know, for all of this. I just want you to talk about being at that junior or almost intern level, like how you got the opportunity first before we even watched the work and kind of deep dive into that.
I didn't. No, I think I wasn't hired yet. I kind of was lucky enough at INNOCEAN to permalance there for a long time. You know, I didn't go to ad school, and I think I got in through a friend of a friend. And so I didn't, you know, have any requirements or credentials. And so their kind of deal with me was to permalance. And so I did that for a couple of years, and I was an intern I guess you could call it an intern, although I was technically a freelancer kind of graphic designer, and I didn't really know anything about the industry, but INNOCEAN was really new. I think it was only a couple years old at that time, and they had just done some really cool work with Wes Anderson for one of the car launches that was really cool. And so when I walked into the building, I'm probably going too far back. When I walked into the building, I didn't know how commercials had been made. I didn't know the process or the industry, but I was just like, whoa, this feels really cool. And I love how visible it is, like that you get to make something that a lot of people see. So I was there for years before I found my way to this brief, and I started on the retail side making, you know, banners, but I would see the brand creatives and I was like, I don't know what they're doing, but it feels really cool. And so I don't want to be doing like dealership car toppers anymore. And I was an art director. I didn't have a copywriter. So what I did was, they were working on Super Bowl. Hyundai does it every year. And it's this big brief. Like, I don't know if people do this anymore, but the entire department. Yeah.
Almost like a jump ball brief is what it's a jump
ball. I mean, and it's not just like, you know, the teams, it's also the creative directors. So, it was super competitive. And so, you know, no one's thinking about me, or like, no one's like, hey, Aisha, do you want to come on in, like write spots? So I remember like being in the airport and seeing a little spot play out in my mind, and I typed it up and I sent it to my creative director, and I was just sort of like, is this how you write a script? You know, I don't know. And he went, this doesn't suck. Let me find you a writer. And so I was like, oh, okay, cool. And so they put me with a writer. His name is Matt League, and we're still friends today. We didn't know, he went to Miami Ad School, so he knew more than me. But I have such core memories of concepting and trying to understand how to tell stories and reading the other spots. They had this huge wall, and all of the spots would get pinned up on the wall, and good things would rise to the top, literally, and the bad things would like get pinned to the bottom. Yes. And so I just read them all, and didn't expect, I was like trying to teach it as a learning experience. Obviously never in my wildest dreams would think that I was going to make something. That wasn't the point of the exercise. And they made 2 spots that year, and we ended up selling through a version of this. What we sold is actually not what we went into production with, because the director changed it a bit and actors came in and out. But no, I remember I was in my bedroom and my project manager called me, because the spots went all the way up to Korea. They flew to Korea to present them. And they said, you know, your Elantra spot got picked. And I cried. I cried. And I've been chasing that high ever since.
Cool.
That's so true.
So with that, maybe let's take a look at the spot and then let's dive deep into it, because like you said, I think there's so many layers to this particular piece of work, and just excited to kind of hear more of your story.
Nice ride.
Nice try.
Nice acceleration.
Nice detonation.
Nice handling.
Nice rambling.
I gotta go to the John. I ate some kind of clam. Put the GPS on for hospitals.
Nice playlist.
Nice plot twist.
Hot. Oh!
Hey, no, I'm gonna hop out.
The new Elantra. Nice.
Oh, it's cute. It's not bad. I remember actually Ad Week came out and they were ranking all, like, giving them A, B, C, D, and it got a B, and I was like, like
That's great. We like a B for Super Bowl.
Yeah, B's good. I was actually doing some research last night, and pretty much everything I came across rated it quite highly or on the good side.
Yeah.
So, it's got all the elements that you want. You got great celebrity cachet in there, and it's kind of fun and wacky, and yeah, I love it. I love it.
It's fun looking at it now because it is so different for a car spot. Like, yeah. And that's always a win, I think, when you can just do something completely different for the category. So, I mean, I'm proud of that.
Yeah. Aisha, question for you. Like, you talked about it, like everything was on the boards and the good work was at the top, and, it was kind of like this mind map thing. Like, what was the actual brief?
I don't know. No.
Okay.
I mean, I never saw I don't think I saw the brief because I just got in by writing. I wasn't in the initial brief, so I don't know what it was. But I think for the Elantra, they wanted to sell it. It was like they wanted to sell it to people in their early 20s, and that's all I really remember. And like me and Matt were in our early 20s, so we were basically just writing what we thought was funny, and that was really, really fun. This was probably, to be honest with you, this was not our favorite idea, but it had 2 cars, so that was really influential to the client.
I feel like often the spots that are like the most fun feel like they are not only breaking from the category, but maybe not feeling like they're really trying to sell you something. And I feel like car ads have this reputation for being maybe on the more boring side of categories because they tend to be like feature heavy. And then when you get to a car ad that focuses on feelings and not features like this one, it becomes really fun because a car is, not to get like romantic, like I'm not trying to sell the idea or anything, but a car is like a vehicle for like dreams and places you want to go and things you want to do. And when you start focusing on like the fun and not the thing itself, I think to our conversation also about advertising changing a little bit, I think there was like a little bit more openness, 10 years ago to doing things that were less lower funnel, like less hard hitting, that maybe less measurable results. Because things weren't getting so squeezed through that filter of like goodness of like, did it hit all these metrics? It's just like, do people like it? Are they talking about it? Like, do they like, the comedian in the backseat?
Yeah. Well, it came from, so when I was growing up, my mom had a yellow Volvo station wagon from the 80s. And we were driving one time on the freeway, and a group of surfers, grew up in Southern California, group of surfers pulled up next to us on the 5, and they were in a yellow Volvo station wagon the exact same year. And they were like, hey, like sweet car. And so, and I just thought that, like, as a little girl or a tween, I was like, oh my God, this is the best moment of my life. Like,
that's so cool.
Surfer boys are noticing me. But then when we were concepting, like, we were thinking there is something so fun in pulling up next to someone and you guys are in the same car and there's just like, what's up? we have a connection.
Standoff moment, you know what I mean? Which is great. So you kind of spoke about it. We saw the final product. Final product's great. Jim Jenkins directed this, right, to Aisha, right?
Yeah.
And he's probably directed, I don't know, 20 plus Super Bowl commercials at this point. Like every year, I feel like he's got one in there. What was the original script on a piece of paper that you and your partner were amped about? And then like, what was the evolution of how it changed? Because I have so many questions like that earlier in your career. Like I wouldn't even have known how to write a script. I don't
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
it's-
we weren't in control at
Yeah.
all. Now looking back.
Yeah.
So the original idea was it was written for Aziz Ansari and Jay Baruchel.
That's
And
so interesting. Uh-huh.
and it was that
Wow.
two bros pull up next to each other and they're like, what's up? And it becomes like a one-upsmanship where he's like,
Yeah.
oh, well, nice this, nice that. And obviously we probably didn't, well, we might have used features, but I think one of them was like nice Billy Goat. Like, I don't think as we were thinking about features. So I think we probably wrote it with just funny things that we could put in the car.
Uh-huh.
And I remember being really upset that we didn't get the Billy Goat because I was like, I really want to go on set.
Huh?
So that I was thinking about as a 25-year-old. No, and it became just, one-upsmanship. And I don't remember how it ended, but Jim, who was not, to be honest, our lead choice for the director, but our CD and ECD said like, hey, this guy's a pro. He can make this funny. He has, they had a relationship, and we know how that goes. And he said, well, I think it works better as a love story. And quite frankly, I think Aziz and Jay weren't interested or dropped out, or maybe that we didn't have enough money or something. I don't know, but Big Bang was pretty big at the time. But part of the exercise was who in culture was, had mass appeal, and Big Bang was like the biggest show at the time. So it was kind of natural for us to go there. And I remember being a little bit bummed that they turned it into a love story, just because I thought that the bro thing was so much funnier. But
nothing says the experience of being a female creative in advertising like writing something that's not a love story, or writing something that is something that would pass the Bechdel test, and then like somehow it goes through the grinder, and by the end they're like, so she's cleaning up the kitchen, he's a Swiffer commercial dad. And I'm like, no. I'm like, no, she's a high-powered attorney. And they're like, we can't afford an attorney's office. No. She's in the kitchen now.
I mean, also when you're young, like I wanted to be, I mean, I don't know if I was the only, there must have been another girl in the department, but I don't think there were many.
15 years ago, you're stretching to think of who she was, and you can't see her face because she wasn't there.
Like maybe there was one. I know there was some on retail, but in the brand, I don't know if there were on the brand side. And I didn't want to be like, here's a story of a girl and a boy. Like, so it's just like two bros. They're one-upping each other, and they're fucking funny.
Honestly, I feel like when we were talking earlier about BBDO, I was my group had like 14 or 15 people in it, and I was like the only female creative in it. And you're like, I feel like I made this conscious effort to try to write things that were like more dude. I was like, no, let me make my dude spot so I can work on soda and chips and pizza. Make funny things.
There was to INNOCEAN's credit, a lot of credit to them, because I found myself in rooms where I very much did not belong. But huge roundtables and I would look around and be like, shit, like I am the only girl in here. Like this is crazy. But at the same time, I got a lot of at-bats, so I'm very grateful for that.
Well, on that subject, borrowing from your experience to go to my experience, I guess in some weird way, mentors were so important to me when I had my first job at Arnold Worldwide. Like I can list them off right now, like Kim Barkowski, Tara, GL, Annalisa. I could go on and on and on with people who were instrumental in like where I am today and who gave me the time of day. I'm curious, who kind of helped you along that journey to get to the final spot? Because you go from this script with your partner, and then you have different celebrities and the celebrities involved, and all of a sudden you got Johnny G, and you got Richard Lewis in there, and like all these things are changing. Was there a sounding board or a person or a group of people that kind of helped you as you were going on the journey for the spot?
I mean, yes and no. yes, in the way that like I had a lot of support from the retail, like the retail side is the way I got in, and instead of them sort of poo-pooing me when I wanted to move to the sexier side, like I had so many big advocates there. Lon Davis, who I think is now running a gallery in Venice, he was such a rock for me. And actually his son, Graham Davis, is a CD at Martin. And I remember we were kind of getting into the industry at the same time. And so it was nice to kind of, we were like his two kids. And so I'll always ask Graham, like, how's dad? Like I sent Lon like a 70th birthday text because it was in my calendar weirdly. And so things like that were really important. And then on the brand side, I mean, yes, I had mentors, but and at the time it felt hard, but I was not babied. And I think there were times where the creative directors, they were always kind, but they expected a lot and I didn't know a lot. And so there was a lot of not tension, but just like me not understanding like my role, quite frankly, yet. But my creative directors were Max Godsill and Robert Prins, and I'm really grateful that they were just kind of like super traditional, old school creatives in the way that how I learned was very traditional, positively, in like understanding the craft of a write-up or art direction, or like picking a director and why they were making certain decisions for us. Let's be real. You know, I was doing it all for the first time, and I don't remember it being like I wasn't coddled, but I also think that it was a crash course, and it, you know, in good ways and bad, and I'm sure they feel the same.
So tell us about the moment they picked your spot, you and your partner's spot. Like, are you like, holy shit, I'm a genius? Or are you like, holy shit, I have imposter syndrome now. I have literally no idea what I'm doing. Like, I'm genuinely curious. Like, what was
do you know the moment in Legally Blonde where neither actually, she gets on the list of something and she turns around and she's like, me! Like, that's how I felt.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, and the team that we were up against was like really talented, really smart, really culturally savvy, like the stuff that they were writing. I remember they had, I don't know if I'll like blow up their spot, so to speak, but like they had this one spot that I know they really wanted to sell for the Elantra that we ended up beating, that I actually thought was funnier than ours. It was like at the time the Drake song was like, started from the bottom, now I'm here. Started from the bottom, now my whole crew's here. And it's like this guy who gets like a young 20s guy gets a promotion at work, and he like flips the table and he ends up going into this whole song and dance all over the office to that song. And then it ends with him like getting in his new car, in his Elantra. And I was like, oh my God, that's like such a cool spot. Like I wish I had written that, like, because it would get such positive feedback in the room. But the key was ours had 2 cars and theirs only had 1.
Gotcha. So that's what I need to do next time when I write
just
automotive.
2. Like I remember that being
secret.
very appealing. Like they were like, we can have 2 cars. Like, yeah, that really was kind of the thing that I think was the sealed the deal. But no, and then production kicked off relatively quickly, and I wish I had clear visions of all this stuff, but making a director's deck and picking vendors and things like that, I don't remember. I remember not getting the director we liked, and I don't remember who we wanted more than that. But it felt like getting on a roller coaster, and it was like and not really understanding where it was going to go, and then you seeing it on. I remember we had like a party at my apartment, and when it played, it was just sort of like, holy shit, this is drugs.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what did you serve at the party? I'm curious.
Probably like Trader Joe's apps from the freezer aisle, which is still my go-to.
Nice. I love that. So we kind of talked about it. So Jim gets picked to be the director. Your creative directors kind of steer you towards that. I'm like curious, especially for Nicole, like to hear this part, like how he and his team looked at the work, what they wanted to do with it, how they were involved in casting, and like ultimately how they kind of like elevated it, because you know it is a beautiful, fun spot, you know, and
Absolutely.
yeah, I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think he just wanted the story beats to be right, and once you know, his strong opinion was that it should be a love story and it should be this guy chasing a girl, and then we kind of went back and, gosh, I don't know who knows how many rounds of rhyming iterations we wrote. I'm sure 50 to 100. And I have a feeling at that point it was the game of like putting in features without sacrificing the fun of the story. And I think one thing he also did really well that was appealing was finding ways to keep it visually interesting without like tying it too closely to reality. Like now when I'm watching it back, I'm like, oh my God, what are all of these locations? Like they're so.
I was like, where did you get budget approval for the stunt coordinators alone? I'm like, it's amazing how much stuff is packed into here. It's very maximalist.
Yes. Yeah. But I think that's kind of the beauty of where he took it. Like it felt, he made it feel really big. And I think that was a challenge that we had to all of the directors, because now I'm recalling like one of them, it ended with a parade or something, and we thought that was like very cool. But I think Jim just brought a level of expertise that we needed. I mean, not our bosses, but that we needed. And so I think in a way now I can see that probably our TDs were protecting us. But he had like without for the ramp at the end, like all of that was his idea. And nice. I don't know, like it is very irreverent in a way that I think maybe it could get made today. Maybe I'm giving myself too much credit, but flying off into like the flames with like an older gentleman, like I feel like legal these days would be like absolutely not. But then like we have a fun legal, like I remember our legal line, I don't know what it is, but it's something like don't drive off of fiery ramps.
The ramp.
Like yeah.
Paid actor on a closed course, professional driver. Yeah. But I remember that ramp setup was our first day, and I walked on set, and I think that's the moment. We shot it in the parking lot around USC, the USC campus, and I think that I'd never been on set before, or maybe no, I don't think so. And that's insane.
I was like, holy like. All of these people are here because we were like screwing around a couple of months ago in a Google Doc. Like it was, I don't know. It felt, I had to like push that feeling down a little bit because it was like the weight of the expectation. I think that was the first time that I really felt the weight of the media placement. And someone was like, I think I got yelled at because someone thought I was a PA, and they were like, hey, you're supposed to be getting coffees. And I was like, I'm agency.
Well, actually, this is my spot.
I was like,
I'm the art director.
But no, I think we originally had, it wasn't, oh my gosh, my mom brain has totally wiped my memory. It wasn't Richard Lewis, it was Gary Shandling. So it was nice Shandling. But Mr. Shandling had gotten some. Oh,
that would have been funny.
I know. Well, he was excited and he got a cosmetic procedure, and I don't think it went well.
Gotcha.
Wait, so we
stop. So we had to replace him like the day before, like literally the day before the shoot. And Richard Lewis, and then we were writing to it, and then we thought, okay, well, rambling, and who's known for well, Richard Lewis kind of got a rambly thing, and we called him, and he was in LA, and he was just like, yeah, I'll be there tomorrow.
Well, you got Richard Lewis in one day. Okay, that's
amazing.
I mean, I was actually watching it, and I was watching it the other day, and I was like, pardon me, I was like, why the fuck is Richard Lewis even in this spot?
Yeah, because Gary Shandling didn't show up.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like they didn't shandle him very well in his operation, but I like that he was so excited he got a cosmetic procedure for this commercial.
Yeah, he was
That's maybe
excited.
my favorite, like, sneaky NDA fun fact.
Yeah.
I think now it's okay to say it, but yeah, and it's funny looking back on it now because I don't remember being that stressed about it because again, no one. I mean, I don't think that people were really looking to us to solve
don't know
problems. Like it was the producer and the CDs and all of those people who were like scrambling. And we were writing the script, but like the nuts and bolts of how it was who was gonna be on set the next day was not. I remember being like sort of out of the loop a little bit, and again in a way that I think was protecting us. But and then he showed up and it was great.
I mean, I'm genuinely curious. Like, how was Johnny G and Richard on set? Like, were they great? Were they prima donnas? Did they rewrite their lines 100 times?
Richard was a champ. He was
right.
very funny. I don't even know if we wrote anything for him. Like I think it was just like nice rambling, and then we were just like ramble. And Johnny, I think he started out the day. Oh my gosh, good. Like the shoot good. I think by the end we had some problems, but I had laryngitis. This is something I forgot to mention. I had laryngitis while we were shooting.
Okay.
So I'd lost my voice, and so I was like drinking tons of water. Well. Anyways, I had a very ill-timed bathroom break while we were in a follow van. So I lost my voice and they were like, Aisha, go shoot Johnny against a green screen. Again, I'm shocked that I would be trusted to do such a thing, but I was like, okay. And so I was shooting him and I remember him just being like, why can't you talk?
Why can't you talk?
Why can't you talk? I was like, I have laryngitis. I'm sorry.
That's iconic.
No, but he was good. I mean, I think by the day 3, he said something like, "This just isn't funny," and we were like, "Okay."
Go back to your sitcom and make your bank, buddy.
All right,
sir. It's only 30 seconds. It's not 30 minutes. Okay, we don't need to there's a level we have to entertain the people at. It doesn't need to be sitcom level.
I do think he did. I think though that he played it. Now watching it back again, I feel like. If you played that too broad, it could get really cheesy. And so I think he played it just right. And then she was just picked like out of obscurity. And that was another thing where Jim was just like, this is her. Like hands down, this like she just has an essence that he really liked. I feel like the mix is off again when I watched it back on some of her lines, but
it's probably YouTube. Because when I watched it, I was like, you see Johnny Galecki and God rest his soul because he's no longer with us, but Richard, like, did she go on to do amazing things in other commercials or in the movies? I'm curious.
I don't think so. I was wondering if she was going to get a big boost after that because again, I do think she has like a little something about her. She had a wryness that was just really attractive, and no, I haven't seen what else she did. I think I looked her up a couple of months after that, just to see, I don't know if she had booked anything else, but I didn't see anything. I do remember seeing a girl I went to high school with. She was one of the women that we like, one of the casting, and I was like, rejected. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. She just wasn't right for it. She was a little bit too old. Yeah, and then Johnny, I don't know. I don't know, not to disparage him, but I think he was he was not even our top 10 choice. I think
really okay.
We had like Jay Baruchel, which was a hard sell because our clip of him to Hyundai, like the higher ups is him like being really stoned and knocked up. But we were like, what if he was not smoking pot though? Then he's still very funny.
What if he's not from Canada anymore?
Exactly. Yeah. Or the guy we had a few from It's Always Sunny, and I think Charlie's Day said, this isn't funny. And I was like, cool.
I mean, it's interesting when you think about swapping that out. Aziz, I feel like would have brought a different flavor. Charlie is hilarious. I mean, Johnny fits the word nice when I picture Johnny with the car and they're going back and forth. And so it does make a lot of sense to me, with how that kind of played out. Aisha, tell me about, all right, it was a 3-day shoot.
It was a 3-day shoot. Yeah, my producer was 8.5 months pregnant. Yeah.
I like that this is such a classic advertising shoot. You have laryngitis, someone else is 8 months pregnant. We haven't met him yet, but like someone in the story, like maybe the director of photography has like a cast on his foot. You know, like somebody's got like an old-fashioned toothache bandage.
Yes.
Around their head.
Yeah.
It's like, it is so funny though, because like what you're saying is such a good example of how it's like what a Ouija board, you know, like any spot, any project is. There's like the intention you have going into it as the creative, and there's like that saying you write it, you know, once in the office, once on set, like once in the edit. But you're not always the one doing the writing. Sometimes you wanted Jay and you get, you know, not Jay. And I mean, how often does that happen? I think I'm trying to think, you're saying this, and I'm trying
You want
to
a Jay and you get a John, Nicole.
Yeah, it's close enough. We have Jay at home. It's same thing.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. I'll make you Jay when we get home. No, but it's very like, it just goes to show you, like, when you think about, you know, even like a movie or a TV show, you know, an ad is the same thing. Like, we go in with an idea, we pick a director, we maybe get a different director. Now, you know, that person's hand is on the Ouija board. We go in, we like cast people. I mean, how often are you rewriting things on set for like a talent change because somebody got sick or their flight was canceled or like, you know, their cosmetic procedure didn't go well. I love the commercial has everything crammed into it. It has all the elements, and the making of also has all the elements. It's like everything, you know, is in there.
Well, I mean, I'm obviously so much better at it now. Now, if you have a change or like you have to replace someone the day before, you're like, all right, like who else are we gonna? But at the time,
when you're new,
every change felt like the end of the world. Like, and that's funny. Now I watch it back and I do have I give myself so much more leniency. But at the time, every small increment of something that wasn't the vision felt like the end of the world. And
oh my God, yes.
Even more so. I mean, so we got in the edit and we cut at Arcade, and I was so excited because I got an Arcade sweatshirt that everyone had, and I was like, now I'm a real girl. Like now I'm a real creative. It's like all I wanted was an Arcade sweatshirt. And now I tell juniors I work with, I'm like, hey, rough cuts are just that, man. They're rough. Like, we're going to work on it. I mean, also it's very different now because you might have a day from the time you see the rough cut to the time you're going to show it to the client for the first time.
Yep.
I feel like we had a couple of weeks, honestly, for this, but I remember seeing the rough cut and walking out of the door and going into the bathroom and crying because I was like, it sucks and everyone's going to see it. And like, my life is over. I did not know. I mean, you know, VFX obviously was not done. There wasn't the right music. Like, and we ended up, they brought in, this was another thing that at the time was like a dagger to the heart, but they ended up, I think we edited for a week and then they brought up a senior, like an ACD team to come in. And I think they were just curious. The cut ended up being essentially what it was. But I think the CDs were just curious if there was a different way to cut it from someone who can come in and have a completely different perspective on how the story beats could play out. Maybe it was going to go in reverse, or maybe it was going to, like, how can you just take what you have and see if there's any other way at it, which now I think is like a fantastic exercise. And I'm always in favor of blowing things up just to see when you have the time to do it. But at the time, I remember feeling like, you know, I had failed, and also I didn't know what I was doing. So I'm like trying to give myself leniency because the editor would try something and he'd be like, is there anything you'd want to try? And in my head, I'd be like what? Like, I don't know what you mean.
I mean, I guess like, it kind of goes back to me, like, how do you write a script? Oh my gosh, I didn't know I could do an A, B, C, D version of like my actual edit or move this around this way or that way. Like, you know, it just comes with reps, but like, that's why I think this conversation is so interesting is that famously as one head of production told Nicole and I one time, you know, post-production is like the ugliest process on the face of the earth, you know, and that's okay, you know, or just production generally speaking, because it's very chaotic. Was Jim involved at all, like in first round edits, or no?
He must have gone in and edited for like
Mm-hmm.
3 or 4 days before we even touched it. But I think after that we didn't, I don't know, see much of him, or maybe he did, maybe we did, but no one was telling me. You know what I mean?
That's the director's contract. It says he comes in for first looks for like 1 to 2 days. He stays longer if he doesn't like it, and once he's happy or he's over it, they're like
right. Yeah. Yeah. I just, it was such a crash course, and I feel like I felt like I was kind of failing the entire way through, just because it was the pressure that not just me but you experience, and I've worked on Audi Super Bowl since it didn't end up being, they ended up like not buying a spot that year that I was on Audi Super Bowl randomly, but the pressure that you're experiencing at that level made it really difficult to enjoy the process. And then especially when you're having things like they're bringing in an ACD team or not understanding the process and seeing the unfinished piece and being like, well, this isn't what I thought it was going to be, or it's not as funny as I thought it was going to be. I remember we also really wanted, the music was such a big deal, and our CDs wanted it to be conceptual. And again, I'm like, what's that?
Yeah. What is conceptual music?
Mean you want a conceptual song. And we really wanted It's Tricky by Run DMC, just because it felt like fun and a little bit more fresh. And but God bless them, my creative directors were like men in their 50s, and they really wanted, like, they liked Evil Woman, like they felt that fit better, and that like,
oh God,
is of their time.
You're like the evil woman, and they're gonna drive off. Oh gosh. Anyways.
It was a different time. It was, listen, that's the 3% conference was started then. It's now the 11% conference, but 3% of creative directors were women. Okay, we're fighting a very uphill battle to fix things.
Right. And at the time, I was going to be like, oh yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think one of the things that I feel like nobody tells you when you're a junior that like I hear in such a theme in what you're saying that I've also experienced myself is I used to always hate the first edit. Not of anything specific, just of like everything. I've actually and now I've realized that about myself, and I'm just like, oh, I've never met a first edit that I liked, so I will not like whatever the first edit you're gonna send me is. I am not gonna like it, and I am gonna just be like, okay, whatever, because I know that happens. But there's so many things that, like, when I work with younger creatives that are like on their first job, I'm telling them the things that I wish people would have told me, which are definitely things like, hey, listen, that you don't freak out when you see the first edit. I don't even need to see it to know you're not going to like it. You're not going to, whatever's in your head wasn't in his head. Your heads weren't touching. You'll go soup the edit. You'll whisper in his ear that like, you kind of think that should be cut like further back, like where the music starts. And like, what if we lost the intro? And like, it will be fine. But like, they don't tell you that. They're just like, so how's the first edit? And you're like,
it's bad.
Well, it doesn't reflect the storyboards. And I hate it.
No. Yeah, no, not. Well, how'd the first round review go with the client? Great, splendid.
I don't know. God, I don't remember. Was I even in it? Hard to say. Probably. I mean, the thing about that spot is, and I think once what they learned by bringing in that senior team and what I can see now as an older person is like, there's really not much you can move it. It kind of is what it is, especially with the dialogue. And like, if you're cutting seconds off of heads and tails off of shots, like there's not a lot of places it can go. And so I think in a good way, it allowed it to, just started refining really quickly because, there's only one way to skin that cat. The funny thing is those clients, I am like still pretty tight with, and they also let us, we made these, which I'll send them to you after, we made these little 15-second, they let us have such unbelievable freedom for all the other pieces of the campaign. We made me and Matt and like a producer and some other, whoever else we could find in the building, made a series of 15-second videos called Is It Nice or Not Nice? And it would literally be like someone knocking an ice cream cone that we shot at an ocean, like someone knocking an ice cream cone out of someone else's hand, and it would be like, not nice. And then it would be like the car, and it'd be like, nice. It was like the stupidest, most irreverent, like nonsense for a Super Bowl like placement I've ever seen. And I remember the client coming in, and his name is David Matathia. He's actually just got promoted to CEO at the marketing arm. And he was like, that's hilarious. I love it. I was like, what?
Good. Experiment more. That's what this is all about.
Yeah.
So question for you. You get it sold through, everything's good. You get ELO music in there. All of our music tastes aside, Run DMC would have been cooler, I think.
Yes.
Take me back to the Trader Joe's night. Like, who was even in the Super Bowl that year? I'm curious. Like, what were the teams playing?
Dude, I have no idea.
Whatever.
No idea.
Your spot was on TV. I'm sure, like, you told all your friends and your parents and your family all about it. Everybody tune in. Like, what was the first text message you got?
I remember getting a lot of text messages like right away. I mean, I don't think, obviously everyone sees it, but it's hard to understand the magnitude of the number of people seeing it. And so I think, well, my family jokes, they're like, that's the one time we understood like what your job was. Like, we saw something you made. And I was like, thanks. Media placement's really hard to come by. Okay. And I don't know who the first text was, but I probably people from work. I had a really tight group. I mean, like the friends that I made at that job are still my friends, and we're still tight. And I don't know. It was kind of like a unicorn situation where you walk away and then you're like, oh man, I don't know if I'm ever going to have a community like that again at a job. So it's probably a bunch of people from work. And I don't know, I was living in like Costa Mesa. Had a roommate, and we just invited all of our friends over. And I remember I knew it was going to be in the fourth quarter, like in the second half of the fourth quarter. And I remember someone was like, oh, you just don't want it to be a blowout. And so I don't remember what the score was, but I remember being like, it's not a blowout. And so people, they're not going to tune out by the fourth quarter. And we had to have a hashtag. So our hashtag was nice hashtag. And I remember on Twitter, people thinking that was funny and being like, yes. And I don't know, I probably tuned out after that. Like once we saw it, and like the wave of like the release that you feel after that, when it's kind of just like, that's above me. I remember feeling what the room felt like, but I don't really remember specifics. But I do remember those being like, now they have to hire me full time. Like now I can finally move on from being a permalancer.
That was going to be a question I had. You'd been a permalancer and you just started out. And I mean, how did this foundationally change your career? Like, I'm curious about that.
I mean, I don't even think I can quantify it. Yeah. It's such a butterfly effect, right? Because like I got in there through a family friend who this is like so funny. I was working at my town publishing company, and I was designing ads for the local paper. And so my dad had a friend who worked at INNOCEAN, and he said, oh, my daughter makes ads. And she was like, that's great. And so she was like, she should come up for an informational interview with some creative directors. So I came up and I had my like portfolio of like Ola Mende's Taco, like Taco Tuesday, and like, the Edge Hotel Bar, like Come and Stay, and all of, these things. And I remember them being like, they said, you're a hustler. And I respect that. I was like, I don't know what you mean. But, to work someplace out the gate that has access to media like that it changed my life in so many ways and changed my career. But I also think this type of learning doesn't really exist anymore, because they brought me in. So when I was trying to get onto the brand side, I didn't touch a brief for years. But what I would do is I was like on deck duty. So if there was a pitch or a huge client meeting, I would have all of the hard drives. Everyone would come into the conference room and they'd put their work, their InDesign files, transfer them over to me, and then I would take all the InDesign files and put them together. And that was like the best way to learn about what creative work was and like what a pitch looked like and what pitch work looked like, because that work is kind of like, pitch work is like the pinnacle in some ways of our creative thinking because it's so unbound. And again, it was just such a fantastic way to see inside the minds of what makes a good idea and having to understand what that means. That was an amazing way to learn that. And so I think that kind of set me up, that set me up very well. And also, it was competitive in a good way. I mean, again, all of these people were my friends, but I also wanted to take their heads off, like, and them to me, like me and the other team, those 2 final spots, Elantra spots, like still good friends with them. But at the time we would be like, I hope they don't pick yours.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wonder, like, if I do more kumbaya, yes, less agency spy comments, yes, but I do think, and I had this at Venables too, where it was a little bit of like, I love you, I think this spot is so funny, but I also hate you because it's so funny, and if it wins, I'm going to be really pissed off. Like, so I don't know. I think I was just really lucky to work someplace that didn't blow me off, and also just the right mix of competitive nature and creative work and brand, like have such a huge name. Hyundai was such a massive brand, so it allowed me to go. I jumped from there to Venables, where I was on Audi, and like I would have never had a shot to work on. And I went to Venables and I was like, I'm going to make an Audi Super Bowl spot, and that's a whole nother story. But that really has an NDA because it was canceled.
Oh, really?
Before.
Yeah.
Nicole
and I got, we worked on Fiat Chrysler one year, which was just.
Oh, I forgot about that.
That was wild.
Trauma resurfacing.
There was no briefs.
Wow.
They said, you walked into the room and they said, pick a brand you want to work on. No briefs or anything.
Actually, speaking of parade, I had an entire parade getting out of a minivan for that didn't happen. I forgot about that. Parades are trending on this podcast.
Love a good parade.
Yeah.
We don't have parade money anymore.
When you really don't know what to do with the spot, you just throw a parade in it.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this has been great. I mean, Nicole, do you have any more questions?
I guess I would ask this. I know for you, this happened a million years ago, this spot, but also, was it fun to revisit it? Do you feel like you have kind of like, I don't know, circled the sun and come back a little bit now that you're in a place where you can look at a spot like this and feel like you would have been able to not be intimidated by it or to lead another team on it,
Yeah, I mean, well, 2 things. I think like when we first hopped on, I feel a little bit like a varsity, like high school football player who's like, back in my day, I sold a Super Bowl spot and I haven't made one since. People are like, all right, grandma, move on. But I think it's just a story I like because it's more representative of, I think it's more representative of a way of learning in the industry that I just fear is being outdated. So I think that's why I like revisiting it, because I don't think now you would I don't know how many agencies are doing huge at-bats where it's just like everyone is on it. And I don't know how often other people would have given me as little control as I had. I still had control and the ability to see it through. And I think that's important to hold on to and to keep talking about, because I think that we're losing junior talent, as we're hiring less junior talent. I just think we're losing that a little bit. So I think it's important to talk about. I do think that I had a bit of naivete that helped me because I didn't really expect anything from it in a good way. Mm-hmm. At the same time, it gives me this thing that now is like my new white whale, where it's just like, well, if I've done it once, can I do it again? And I've been on multiple Super Bowl briefs since then. and gotten really, really close a few times. And it's kind of funny now where it's like, God, it's not that I wasn't trying, but when I went into it with complete lack of fear for the process or the gauntlet that was about to approach me, I just sort of like stumbled into it like, this is so fun. Like, oh my God, my ad's on TV. And now it's just like, do you even know what you did, you dummy?
It's like, here's 300 more scripts. Okay, they didn't approve any of these.
Right. It's just, and now like, I don't think we thought about the budget. I don't think we thought about any of that stuff. Where now
it's a genuine question I had when you were talking about it. So they ran 2 spots that year. So I'm assuming the media in and of itself, let's just say the media was $5 million for each thing. Your spot was definitely expensive with the talent and everything attached to it.
And again, all those stunt coordinators.
Yeah, exactly. And getting Richard the day of the shoot, basically. It's pretty wild,
It's crazy. Yeah. I know the other spot was a 60. They probably spent 20 million. I mean, Johnny Galecki alone was like 500,000. So
yeah, because I was reading too. It's like first time he actually sponsored a product, I think, is what I had read. So he's since gone on to do Clash of Clans or all those mobile games, and
we got him there first. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I feel like I want us as an industry, as someone who kind of, came up roundabout, I do. And I don't know how you guys feel, but I just feel like we're losing that. And I sense it in freelance life too, where it's like, I'm being brought in at such a high level to do a brief that like could probably like put a junior on this as well, just to have them.
I feel like it's like what you're saying, there's just been this like kind of like collapse of the junior ecosystem, and like, not to soapbox, but I think that's why it's so important that like we get junior talent, and like junior talent is like where the future leaders come from, like us. Like we got shots at things when we were dummies, and we got lucky, or people defended space for us to like grow and learn on the job. And I think it's just important we all remember that. Like, we all remember the people who like kind of gave us a shot. We try to pay it forward, and whenever we get a chance, even in the like keeping our own side of the street clean, if you work on a project and there is a junior on that project and they don't really belong on the shoot because they haven't been on a shoot before, and there's budget to take them on the shoot, advocate for that person to go on the shoot, whatever way we can just use our own voices and advocate for those people within those projects. Cause like, we all benefited from that system. And I think it's important that we like feed back into it. It's kind of like, what's that, like biodynamic farming, where they like feed the land so that it can like give them better wine or something. Like we need to like biodynamically farm our juniors. Like if you're not feeding the next generation of people, there's not going to be anyone to make the pitch.
There's not going to be a next generation. And like making sure that our inroads, and I, especially now that I'm teaching, and making sure that we're not just, and I love VCU, I've spoken there multiple times and we have a really great relationship, but like as someone who sees sees now into resourcing, making sure that people who aren't graduating from VCU can get into this industry too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And again, like allowing people who don't know anything to learn from the ground up. And I think it's such a big conversation, right? Because like everything is so quick. There is not a lot of room to fail. So I understand why we bring in students who have been trained so precisely. At the same time, we like to say as an industry, a good idea can come from anywhere. And I just feel like we're not really walking that walk. So,
and I think that's for me, that's the biggest thing too, though, as a creative director. Like your job is not to just be like a sidelines coach, but to be a player coach, right? To not just say you're not cracking it, like we're moving you on to banners, but to be like, okay, you're not cracking it. Like, here's what's missing. Like your job is to be a mechanic, take it apart, explain how it works. Well, the talent you picked sucks. Okay, shooting with animals and babies is really expensive. If you can avoid writing a baby into the spot, you really want to do that.
But a goat would have been a good idea.
The baby,
There's a step system of cost, and goat is below baby. Dog is actually above goat though.
Yeah.
But no, like make the same thing, like, finding ways to keep that open and to not, move the junior off the project because there's no time now for faffing about, but to keep them there and to say, okay, move into the passenger seat. I'm going to drive for a little while because the highway is getting bumpy, but I'm going to explain what I'm doing because I want to make sure that next time when you're alone, you know how I got to these decisions, why that idea wasn't good. To say no to an idea as a creative director is the laziest thing in the world. Good ideas come from anywhere, but only when they hit someone who's able to find that pearl in the oyster and go, oh, there's yucky shellfish here, but inside a pearl.
Yeah.
Oh.
Absolutely.
I don't like shellfish. I don't know.
Same.
Some
But that was a good analogy.
Some like the oyster, some like the pearl.
Well, this was awesome. And Nicole, thank you for your candid commentary, and loved having you on. Definitely check Nicole's work out. Amazing freelancer. Aisha, the same. Amazing freelancer. Beautiful portfolio. Hire these people, and this was a super duper good time. So
This was so fun.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Let's make a Super Bowl spot together so I can achieve.
Yeah, we
that.
still got like 3 weeks left. I feel like we could still pull something off.
If you put everyone on LinkedIn on it, there's still time to crowdsource or, jump ball a spot here.
We're going to do the anti-Super Bowl. That's what we're going to do. Okay. It's going to get just as much attention.
We need to make a group. I think we already did. I think it's called this group of people who were like enfants terribles when they were like young, and now they're creative directors, and now they get to make the decisions, and it's a beautiful thing.
I agree. Well, thank you guys for having me.
Of course. Thank you for spilling your soul out there. There were so many juicy nuggets that I had no clue about. So this was awesome.
Hey there, fella, it's super duper time. Pour a drink, spill the tea, lose your mind. The spots, the egos, the overtime. And that client from fucking hell still wants one more line. With Tyler, Aisha, and Nicole, it's the Super Duper Show.